It's been 4 years since the height of my postpartum depression, and it is time. I think I'm going to share some of my story. Hey guys, Sarah here from Work Life Glue. I'm already getting emotional. I haven't even started talking. This video has been a long time coming. It's something I've wanted to share for a very, very long time, but have been very scared to share for a number of reasons. And it's something that's still very taboo and people judge you for. And so it's something that I've wanted to share but have been afraid to share for quite a while. I want to share it now because it plays a huge role in my weight loss journey, and I'm going to be sharing that hopefully weekly. I was doing the keto diet, and I'm going to talk about this all in more detail in this video, but I'm now switching to Weight Watchers, and a lot of my depression story ties into my weight loss story. And so I thought it was time to start talking about it all so that it all makes sense going forward as I'm sharing my weight loss journey. This is a huge piece that really added to the struggle of why the keto diet wasn't working for me a lot and a lot of other things. So let's just jump right in. I just want to start by saying, please give me grace. This is really hard for me to talk about publicly. Only a handful of people know about this struggle personally, at least in great detail, and now I'm going to be sharing it with the world. But I really am doing this in hopes that it could help someone, to give others comfort knowing they're not alone, to allow people to understand other people's viewpoints when it comes to things like depression and postpartum depression and weight loss and antidepressants and things like that. So I'm going to try not to cry, but I can't promise it's not going to happen. Okay, so let's just start back in high school. When I was in 9th grade, I gained a bunch of weight because I was probably depressed back then. I just was sad and would eat like 2 bowls full of Lay's original potato chips every day. But then I joined the dance team and I lost the weight, kept it off, was in really great shape. That really started me on a good journey of health and balance and exercise. I weighed about 110 pounds. I'm 5'3", 5'4". So when I was on the dance team, I was about 110 pounds. That's like the lowest I could be and be healthy. That was when I was working out about 3 hours a day, very intense. So when I would be off the dance team, I would be around like 115, 120. But, you know, I was very, very healthy and very, very fit and active. And that was like my ideal body type. I'm a very petite person. I have very small bones. So I liked the way I look back then. But it did take a lot of exercise, watching what I was eating, to be in that really good shape. Then college happened. And my freshman year of college, I gained about 10 to 15 pounds. I was up to about 130 pounds. I hated how I felt. I hated how I looked. But I joined a step aerobics class as my, fitness class that I had to take for, to meet my graduation credits. And I loved it. I loved that it was way more fun. It reminded me of dance. And so it didn't feel like working out. So that summer I bought a bunch of workout DVDs that were more like step aerobics and fun DVDs. I bought a bunch of Jillian Michaels stuff that were about half an hour long, and I bought a stepper, and that is how I started working out, about, half an hour to an hour every day. And I kept that up the next 3 or 4 years of college. I worked out every single day, at least 5 days a week, for about an hour. I watched what I ate, I meal prepped, and I was just very, very healthy. And at that time, I weighed about 115 to 120 pounds. And that was like my ideal weight. I felt great. I looked great. I felt really good about myself overall. And ideally, that's where I would love to be again. I don't know if it's possible after kids. I probably won't ever look the exact same as I did back then, because I know when I had babies, my rib cage expanded, my hips expanded, and I don't know that they'll ever go back to where they were. But the weight and just how I felt about myself, I want to feel like that again. So then adult life happened, where I didn't have a ton of time like I did when I was at school, and had, I did work a lot. I worked about 30 to 35 hours during college and took a full course load. But, when you only have a few hours here, a few hours there at class or at work, it's a lot easier to fit in workouts, and you don't have kids, so it's a lot easier. Then adult life happened. I was a teacher and I was working all day plus most of the hours I was home, and it was really hard to fit in working out. So I probably gained about 5 to 10 pounds. So at that time I weighed about 125 to 130. I still looked really good, I think. I still felt overall pretty good. I still, I didn't look overweight. I wasn't overweight, but I definitely wasn't as fit and active and fit looking as I was when I was working out regularly. So then in May of 2014, we finally got pregnant after a year and a half of infertility and being told we wouldn't be able to conceive on our own. But we did, and I'll link to the videos about our infertility journey if you're interested. I got pregnant. I was about 130 pounds. I remember thinking, oh, poop. I want to lose some weight, but now I'm pregnant. But at the same time, I was just so grateful to be pregnant that, whatever. So I had a lot of nausea at the beginning. I gained a little bit of extra weight probably, but overall, I think it was a very healthy pregnancy. The unhealthy part of the pregnancy was that we had way too many situational changes, and we were living in the Twin Cities at the time, and my husband got what we thought was like a once in a lifetime, maybe not once in a lifetime, but a very felt like God thing that he was offered. A coworker that he had worked with before had moved to where our families lived, and he got a job as a sous chef at a hotel, and he actually was leaving that position and told San to apply if he was interested, because he knew our family lived there, which was an hour and a half from where we were living, and he knew we were pregnant and that it may be a nice opportunity at that time to move closer to family. So we definitely felt we were being called to do that. So he applied for the job. He got it. So when I was about, 6 months pregnant probably, we ended up moving in with my parents and trying to sell our house. And there's a lot more to it. We had to finish the basement and renovate it and do all this stuff to make it, worth more money to sell it. But selling took a long time. We got a lot less money than we had been hoping for. And it was a lot of stress because we were living an hour and a half away, having to drive up and clear leaves and do, clear snow and stuff like that. It was just really stressful. And I love my parents, but living with them was very stressful. We had our 2 dogs at the time, and just living with other people can be really hard, and there were other factors I'm not going to go into, but it was very stressful. Also during that time, right around Thanksgiving and Christmas, Sam lost his grandma and I lost my grandpa. And then also around that time, I had a really emotional and somewhat violent falling out with a friend. I'm not going to get into that either, but it was devastating, and it just felt like one thing after another after another. And I just remember thinking, I just can't wait for this baby to be born because that'll fix it all. Because I remember during that time locking myself in our room. San was working, and I was like, I'm not eating. I'm just sad. I don't know where we're going to live. I don't know when we're going to be able to move into our house. This baby's coming. Money isn't what I thought it was going to be. We didn't know what I was going to do for work, and I ended up nannying, but I was barely making any money, but working a ton and really weird hours. And, it was just a lot of unknowns, which I don't do well with, and waiting for somebody to buy our house. It was just so stressful and way too much now looking back that I had on my plate. I already overload myself as it is, and that was just too much. But thankfully our house did sell, and it sold right before we were giving birth to the baby. And I remember San had a really busy week at work the week she was due, so I was like terrified to go into labor that week. So I ended up actually going over almost 2 weeks, and I was induced, and we were actually signing papers online on our phone while I was in labor in the hospital for the house. So it was a really crazy time. And then the birth happened. I have a whole birth story, but I had wanted a natural birth. I had gone into it thinking like everything around me feels like it's up in the air and crumbling, and I just want this birth to be what I want it to be. And it wasn't. There's a reason I haven't filmed this before, because it's still 4 years later, just so hard to talk about. The birth was really hard. I was induced, so I already wasn't getting the natural birth I wanted. I ended up, getting the epidural, and I felt really just let down with the way it went. And the really hard part was that I pushed for 3 hours and I could not get her out. She was sunny side up, basically. And so we had to do a vacuum extraction, and we were afraid I might have to do like an emergency C-section if, it wasn't going to work. And thankfully it did work, but I had a horrible experience with an episiotomy. It took forever to heal. It's just, I have videos on this. I'll link below. I don't want to get into it too much. But I remember I had been waiting so long for this baby, and I thought that moment would change everything. And I love my daughter so much, so I don't ever want her to watch this and think that it had anything to do with her. It didn't. It was just this expectation that a baby would fix things, and they don't. They come with their own sets of difficulties. And I remember after this really beautiful birth, but not at all what I had wanted or what I had hoped for, I remember getting moved to the postpartum room. It's the middle of the night. I have this little baby. Sam fell asleep. On TV, of course, is the Duggars, the 21 or however many kids and counting, and they're performing natural births. They're being midwives for natural births and doulas. And I just remember breaking down crying, thinking, this isn't what I had hoped for. And it just was like one thing after another. Breastfeeding was incredibly painful and difficult. And I just remember sobbing. I was exhausted, and it was just that like heightened sense that this isn't going to fix it all, like I had been thinking it would. After that, 5 weeks after she was born, we finally moved into our house, but that was a lot of chaos, and basically I was left to unpack the whole house by myself. Sam was working crazy hours. I wasn't seeing him, and I finally sat down and crunched numbers one day and realized, like, with what I was doing as a nanny, like, we're barely making it by. Like, we barely can afford anything. And I remember just, that was like the moment where it all came crashing down. Like, all the stress, all the sadness just kind of came over me, and I realized, like, I'm going downhill really fast. After that, things got really bad mentally. I had a hard time staying alone because all I could do is crunch numbers and just desperately hang on, I guess you could say. When it comes to depression, I explain it like there's, you're fine, then there's depression, and then there's suicidal. You can live with depression and hold on. I was like, here's suicidal. I was right here. I wasn't suicidal. I wasn't thinking about how I'm going to kill myself or anything like that. But it was a lot of, how am I going to keep living like this? And desperately crying to Sam, like, I can't do this forever. I'm so scared. It's hard for me to talk about, so I can't really do it justice, but it was horrific is the best way to describe it. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. I was still nursing. I was desperately hanging on for my family. I literally could not eat. Like, I would sit down with some food and I could not make myself eat it. And I was nursing, and I was so headstrong that I would not give my baby formula because I had already failed in what I felt like was so many other ways. That was the one thing I was holding on to. That was the one thing I was not going to do. So I forced myself to eat enough for her, and thank God it was. I didn't lose my supply. But literally, I think all the calories I was eating was going to milk, and I lost all the baby weight and probably then some, which I guess was great, but it's not healthy. It's not how I wanted it to happen. I would have rather been fat, but felt good than desperately hanging on to life and losing weight. I ended up, I don't remember how old Celia was when I ended up going in, because my mom and Sam were like, you have to go in. This is not okay. You're not okay. And we're terrified. Every day Sam would go to work. He was just so afraid to leave me. I don't think he thought I would take my life, and I told myself I would not do it. But I just had lost basically any reason to keep going besides my family. And that was even hard because I just felt like I had let everybody down. Nothing in my head was rational. I'd go into stores and just cry because I'm like, I'll never be able to afford anything here again. Like, I'm going to let my baby down. She's going to have a horrible life. Like, it was just so hard. And it's not at all what I had anticipated, especially after so long of infertility and thinking we never have kids, and then to finally have that baby and to be so sad. Not because of her, but because obviously I was not right at that time. So I finally went in, and it was really hard because the hospital I was at, I was about 12 weeks postpartum, and so they didn't know where to send me. I was kind of over the time where they would prescribe things to me, but it didn't feel right sending me to some random psychiatrist or psychologist that I hadn't seen before. So they saw me. I had a horrible experience with the doctor who was incredibly condescending and treated me like a child and didn't even listen to my concerns, just prescribed me on an antidepressant within about 10 minutes. Didn't tell me if it was safe during nursing, didn't tell me how long or what to expect or how many pills to take and when. He just prescribed me the medication and left, and I just bawled my eyes out in the room. It was horrible. So we reported him, but right after that, I started taking an antidepressant, and my insomnia became worse for a while, and so my mood became even worse. And when you're already not sleeping a lot because you have a brand new baby, and then you can't sleep when it actually is time to sleep, and you're up just worrying, full of fear, like, it does things to your mind. And so I remember calling in, asking what I can take to sleep, and one nurse told me Unisom, but she wasn't sure how safe it was during nursing. So then they ended up having me come in, but the OB and midwife didn't know why I was there. Like, it just was a really chaotic time trying to figure out what to do because no department thought I should be with them, and it was stressful. And so I ended up breaking down to the midwife because she was like, can you explain to me why you're here? And I'm like, I don't know why I'm here. I'm on these sleep medications and I can't sleep and I'm scared to be alone. And like, I just broke down because I needed help, but I felt like nobody could tell me what I should be doing to get help. And I, took that step to get help, and I was treated really badly overall, I would say. And I think there really needs to be a better system for women with postpartum because I should never have been treated that way. And maybe it's just miscommunication in the system, but it made me feel like I was crazy. And thank God, after about 6 weeks on the meds and deciding to start my daycare and move forward with things, I got completely better. And that's when I started my journey toward, the miracle morning and working on myself. I really vowed I would never get back to that place because it was terrifying. It was terrifying for me. It was terrifying for my family. I never want them to have to go through that again. It was so scary. And I never want to feel anything close to that again. So believe me when I say I know what postpartum is like. There aren't words. So hard. Anyway, so I lost the weight because I hadn't been eating and I was nursing. But thank God, mentally I got better. The problem is now with the weight loss, if I move over to that side of the story, the antidepressant I was on was making me gain weight and it was making it impossible to lose weight. So thankfully, I was only on that about 9 months, and I weaned off of it slowly after I started my daycare when I had a stable income because money was what really had been stressing me out. And it was very irrational, but in my head, it made sense to me at the time because I wasn't well. And so I knew money had to be not an issue when I was going to wean off the antidepressant. So I did. Within 2 weeks, I halved them, and then after that, I was just done and I had no side effects. I was fine and I was off of them, and I just had a really good routine for my miracle morning, and I was going on lots of walks and things like that to prevent myself from, going backwards. So that was great. We knew once we would have another baby that we would have me put back on the antidepressants again, just because there was no way we ever wanted to go through that again. And since it happened once, it was likely to happen again. And because mental illness runs through both sides of my family, we just didn't want to risk it. So we had Bryony, and thank God she had a way different birth. I had to be induced because I was way overdue and there was no fluid left, but it was a redemptive birth experience. It was amazing, and it was really the closure I needed after the really hard birth. And I went into it so different because I knew I'd probably be induced. I knew what to expect more going into it. So it was a redemptive birth, and I was literally on a high for 2 weeks after. I was like the best I've ever felt in my entire life. But of course it comes back down. You get the baby blues and things like that. But overall, I never experienced postpartum depression with Bryony. I got back on the meds right after, and my plan had been after a year, I will get off of them again once she's a year old. And so I did that. So she was a year old in September of 2018, which is last year at the filming of this video. So once that happened, I did the exact same thing. I halved the dose for 2 weeks, and then I got off of them. The problem was this time that the anxiety came back. So I was off of them from like October through December, and I did the keto diet at that time. I'd actually tried the keto diet when I was still on them, and I couldn't lose weight. But then I got off of them in the fall of last year, and I lost 18 pounds very easily with the keto diet. And I thought the factors were other factors, that I had cut down on nursing, and that, I started taking these whole food supplements, which I do definitely think helped. But now I realize that I lost the weight because I wasn't on the antidepressants. I was able to lose weight with all those things because I wasn't on the antidepressants. The problem was around Christmas time, my anxiety level started to skyrocket. I started to worry about money. A year later, I was started, with daycare, anything could change, from time to time. And we've always been fine. It's never been a big deal. We're prepared. But I started freaking out about a year later. What were we going to do if this child leaves, or if this happens, or what happens if this happens with your job or whatever? I just could not sleep. I started worrying, like, what is Sam going to do if I die? Because I didn't have term life insurance at that time, which is also connected to the depression. I was denied, which is, don't even get me started on that. But anyway, so I would lay awake at night just worrying about that. So I went in because I'm like, there's no way I'm going to let this get as bad as it was before I get help. So I went in, and my new doctor, said you should probably get back on for a while. Let life kind of just happen, and we'll try again later. Because the problem with these antidepressants is that you can't be pregnant on them. The one I'm on right now, have been on, it's not safe during the 3rd trimester. So I knew I wanted to get off them either way. And I also really wanted to get off them because I knew they help me lose weight if I'm not on them. But my mental health was number one to me. So I got back on them and thought, why not still try the keto diet and see if that's actually true that I lost the weight because of the antidepressants. Well, I've tried all year for about 6 months now to lose the weight again, and I can't lose a couple pounds, much less 18 pounds like I did in the fall. And I've been trying just as hard and not having any success. So now that it's nicer out, I've decided to wean myself again. This time I'm doing it over 2 months instead of 2 weeks. So I have, up until right now when I'm filming this video, I have halved all of my pills in half for a month instead of 2 weeks like I did before. And now I'm currently taking the half a pill every other day for 2 weeks. And then for the last 2 weeks, I'm going to take it every 3 days and then be done. So we're hoping weaning off of it slower will be better. And also, I'm completely done nursing, so I let my hormones kind of level out before I started weaning this time. And I've never been not pregnant or not nursing since I was pregnant with Celia. So for the last 5 years, I've been pregnant or nursing. So I'm hoping my body can kind of just get back to how it used to be before kids, and my mood will just restabilize. But so I did have a lot of success with the keto diet last fall when I was off of my antidepressants. And now that I'm getting off of them again, I'm really hoping I can lose weight and get back down to about 120. Right now I'm about 147. So I have a ways to go. 130 would be great, but if I can get to 120, I want to do it, but we'll see. The problem is I am so sick of the keto diet. I think it's great scientifically. I understand it. I think it can work so well. But after doing it for so long and it not working because of my antidepressants, I just am really tired of depriving myself. I know it would probably work now when I'm off the meds, but I want to enjoy myself. I want more balance in my life, especially, moving into this, trying to make sure my mental health is good now that I'm not going to be on any kind of medication. I want a balanced food life. I want to have a healthy relationship with food, and I don't think my mental health was good when I was depriving myself of carbs, because the second I'd be in a social situation where there are carbs and really no other option, like I'll go to a church event or something with other women and there'll be spaghetti and it's all mixed in with the sauce, and there's like literally just spinach as like a little side salad with some sunflower seeds and bacon and a little bit of dressing. Like I've had that happen, and it's like either I eat the spaghetti and I'm cheating on keto and I'm going to feel guilty, or I just eat spinach and I'm there for 3 hours and that's my supper. So I end up eating the carbs and then I tell myself I'll get back on it the next day. But then I feel guilty for cheating, and then I'm like, well, I already ate carbs, so I might as well eat some more. And then a week or two go by and I'm not eating keto anymore, so I have to start all over. I think it's a great diet and it can work for a lot of people, but for me mentally, I just don't like. I did like it for a while where it was like, yes, this, no, that. But now I'm like, I want more balance. I want to say yes to this, but say, if I eat that, what do I have to say no to? Instead of like, this is what I can eat and this is what I can't always. Like, it's just, for me, it's just too much right now. And mentally, I just really want more balance in all areas of my life. So I've been on Weight Watchers now for 1 week, which isn't a long time. I haven't been very good about sticking to it. It's, for me, really hard to go from a high-fat, low-carb diet to a low-fat, moderate carb diet. I went from like, there were so many things I can't eat to now I can eat them, but the things that I was eating are, higher calories, but I wasn't eating certain things, so like the cheeses I was eating on Weight Watchers are a lot of points, and the ranch I was eating, which was full fat ranch, is a lot of points on Weight Watchers. So I'm now having to kind of switch my mentality. But I really like it. I like that it's kind of like a challenge. It's like a game, which I know calorie counting can be the same thing, but I just love that it's just points. I don't have to think about the calories and look at the nutrition. I just scan it and it tells me how many points, and I just have to make sure I stay within my point range. I love the community I found. There's some people I follow on YouTube and Instagram, and I will link them below. And I went to my first meeting and I loved it, and I'm going to try to make it work. Even with our crazy schedules, I'm going to try to take my kids if I can, if I have to. Otherwise, I'll try to do it during a time my husband can watch them. But I just love that accountability, and everybody was so nice and supportive and understanding, and I just love that. I just think it's great. And I have a few friends who've done Weight Watchers, so I can reach out to them as well. And I see why it's worked for so many people, because of the balance, the fact that you can say yes to what you want, but it comes along with saying yes, but there's no foods that are like no. There's no foods, and I really appreciate that. I love that I can eat fruit again. I can eat corn, I can eat peas, I can eat those foods I love to eat in the summer that I didn't eat last summer because I was doing keto. If you guys want to follow me on my Weight Watchers journey and you're a Weight Watcher person, I am Sarah at Sarah WLG, just like I am on Instagram. So if you have the app, you can follow me there. I haven't posted anything yet, but I probably will soon. And so it'll be fun to have some people to check in with as well. I also plan to do hopefully weekly videos of some sort of food, diet, exercise type video every week. So whether it be what I ate in a week video, what I ate in a day, meal prep video, what I'm doing for exercise, you know, thoughts on this product or, you know, recipes or things like that. I want to check in weekly because a huge part of work-life balance and gluing those pieces of work and life together is health. And I don't talk about that a lot, especially when it comes to like food. And so I want to stay accountable. I think it'll be really helpful for some of you guys and fun to see, to get some new ideas. And if you're on a weight loss journey, I think we can help support each other as well. So I'm going to attempt to show you my body in some way, shape, or form. I have not decided exactly how that's going to go, but I want to measure myself and I want to show you guys my progress. I have not ever done this because I'm terrified of it. Very self-conscious about especially my belly and the loose skin and the stretch marks and stuff like that. But if I can do it to help somebody, that's what I keep telling myself. But I also am so modest, so we'll see. We'll see what I decide to do in the next shot. So I'm standing on a stool in the bathroom. I don't really have a great way to do this, but this is me in clothes. I do wear Spanx pretty much every day because I'm very self-conscious about my belly. So yeah, that's me on a normal day. Here's me with my Spanx, with just a tank top on. Yeah. Okay. This is me in my swimsuit. Yes, I do wear a very mom swimsuit because I have always been very modest. Even when I was super fit, I never wanted to wear a bikini. So this is me in my swimsuit. I'm on a stool so you guys can see me, but thankfully this hides it a lot, but definitely some weight in my thighs and legs and belly. And there you go. There's the belly. Looks better on camera, I think, than it does in person, but there it is, you guys. I'm sure people are like, it's not as bad as you think, but to me, it's not good. But yeah, got a lot of extra skin and stretch marks. I have been using some, the Jergens Natural Glow, I think does help that I'm not quite so pasty, but I used to be a lot more, I guess, less curvy, and I'm a lot curvier now, and I'd like to be a little less curvy if I can. And then here are my current measurements. I am hoping these numbers will all go down, but it will be fun to see because I've never actually measured myself along any kind of weight loss journey. So there you have it, guys. I hope this video helps somebody. If not, I don't know. Thanks for watching to the end. I just really wanted to start talking about weight with all of it out there because there were a lot of pieces that I hadn't shared before that I think really did contribute to my thoughts on weight loss and why it's been difficult for me and things like that. So let me know if you're going to come along this journey with me. I'm really, really excited to post an additional video every week when I am able. And I just thank you guys so much for watching. So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate all your love and support, and I'm sending it all right back to you guys. Thank you. Bye.